I see people waving. Hi. Okay. Okay. Sorry, my service was a little bad there. And I'm just going to accept our guest. Awesome. Hello. Hey, what's up? How are you? Good. How are you? I'm good. Can you see me now? I had a little bit of internet problems. Now you're good. Okay, awesome. So I would like to introduce myself. Since people are still joining, this is so awesome. So my name is Erin. I am going into my 4th year. I use pronouns she, her, hers, and I'm an anthropology and geography major with a minor in law and society. Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Nielsen. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going into my 3rd year as a biological sciences major with a concentration in anatomy and physiology. Awesome. Let me set you up right. You're perfect. Okay. So today for this Instagram Live, we are going to be talking about biology, and that's why Lily is here. She's our little expert on biology and everything biology. So do you want to just tell us what is biology? What are you studying? Broad explanation of it all. Yeah, so super broad. Biology is the study of life. It's a life science, so we study everything that has to do with living organisms, from the smallest, little microbes, little bacteria, all the way to humans and blue whales, and how everything in the environment affects all of those living creatures, as well as how they work, and all of the wonderful things that have to do with life. So that's super broad, but biology is a pretty broad field. So yeah. So what are you then specifically interested in? And are there concentrations that you would go into with biology? Absolutely. So I'm an anatomy and physiology concentration. Because biology is such a broad field, the biology major here at Cal Poly, which is actually called biological sciences major, just for some clarification. But the biological sciences major has 4 different concentrations underneath it, so that you're not just studying that general broad biology. You can really tailor your biology education to what you're interested in. So the 4 concentrations are general biology. So if you're not interested in one specific area, you can take general biology, or you can do anatomy and physiology, which is what I do. So that's essentially, how things work, the different structures of living organisms, specifically animals and humans, all of that fun stuff. And then there's ecology and evolution concentration if you're interested in, ecology, the study of nature and everything surrounding that, as well as a molecular and cellular biology concentration, which is the small scale stuff, cell biology, how life works on a really small scale. That's awesome. That goes big to small a little bit. So what do you think, I guess, what kind of labs or jobs would you be working for throughout Cal Poly, or just labs in Cal Poly, things like that? Yeah, so lots of really interesting labs, lots of super different labs. So for me personally, as an anatomy and physiology concentration, a lot of my labs from here on out are going to be in our cadaver lab that we have on campus. So learning about anatomical structures actually from a donated body, or for example, last year in my introductory anatomy and physiology course, we did a lot of dissections on, hearts from various animals, which sounds super creepy, but it was really cool to learn about physiology from the actual structure rather than just reading from a textbook. So that's a lot of the anatomy and physiology labs. A lot of ecology labs are very hands-on. They go on field trips a lot. So for example, my roommate is actually biology, but concentrating in ecology and evolution. And she got to take this class last quarter called ornithology, which is the study of birds. And every Wednesday morning she went on a field trip out to Morro Bay or Pismo Beach or somewhere in the area, and they would wake up early and go and listen to the birds and use their binoculars to see all the birds, and they had to learn them by sound, by their call.
And so that's a super cool lab. For a lot of the ecology people like to take the different ology classes. Like there's like a mammal class, the bird class, the bug class, and they're all sort of similar. And then if, you know, there's just so many different labs. There are so many different labs.
I love that. My roommate, she is also bio, and I remember she took this herpetology class, which is the study of like amphibians and like reptiles. Yeah, and so she took that class, and I remember she would just show me all these pictures of like salamanders that they would find and things like that. And I was like, that's so cool. You get to like actually go out and like see all these things.
Super cool. Lots of field trips, especially if you're ecology and evolution. This last quarter, I took an ecology and evolution class because even though we have the specific concentrations, you still have to take classes in all of the different fields. In order to get your degree here, I can't just take anatomy classes. They want every biology student to be really well-rounded. But in my ecology and evolution class this past quarter, we got to go on lots of field trips out into, Polly Canyon, the mountains behind campus, and take samples on plants and do some studies on different plant life. We also got to go out to the Cal Poly Pier, owned by our marine science department, and go take data of like the salinity of the water and talk about how that would affect the ecosystem there. So lots of fun, learn by doing field trip type stuff.
Yeah, so I guess I have a question that maybe some incoming students might have. So if you are applying to a major that has like a ton of different concentrations, do you have to apply into that concentration, or do you kind of get to take all the classes and figure it out later? What is that process like?
That's a fantastic question. I'm really glad you asked that. So the cool thing about the biology major, well, long story short, no, you don't apply under a concentration. You pick your concentration after you get here. But the cool thing about the biology major is your first year as a biology student, you take an introductory ecology class, an introductory molecular and cellular biology class, and an introductory physiology class. So those are the 3 biology classes that you take your first year. And it's really cool because you can see which one you're interested in and then declare your concentration from there. So you sort of get to like dip your toe in the water of all the different concentrations and then either pick one of those or go general bio and just, call it a day from there if you're interested in everything. But so like for me, I came into college sort of knowing that I wanted to go anatomy and physiology, but once I actually got here and took the class, I was pretty hooked. So.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. I know a lot of other colleges too and majors, not just, within the College of Math and Science, but I know business is big on that too. So if anyone in this, live is interested in looking at a ton of different concentrations, any college is going to have some awesome concentrations that you can look into and kind of specify your major. That's one thing that's really awesome about Cal Poly. So you mentioned doing research like at the pier. So Cal Poly has a lot of like research space. Do you have any more like examples of that too? Like going different places on campus? Do you know of other places people do research?
Absolutely. So in terms of some places on campus, we have our cadaver lab, which I mentioned earlier. And so a lot of students like to you can actually take a class over the summer when they get the donations and you are the person who's doing the big dissection of everything. And so that's a super appealing on-campus lab. We also have a tortoise lab, which is for like people who are interested in like herpetology, like you said. So I have a good friend who's a biology major, and she actually works in the tortoise lab and helps to care for the tortoises. So that's a super cool spot. But our like main building, the biology building, is Fisher Science, and there's just a lot of really cool like little glass structures where you can go and look, and they just have a bunch of the different things that have been done at Cal Poly projects. And so that's a cool place on campus. But yeah, definitely the tortoise lab, that's a really cool one. And the cadaver lab, and yeah. And the great thing about Cal Poly, especially if you're like ecology and evolution or more botany focused, because our botany program is actually a biology run program. is we have a super biodiverse campus. And so you can go outside and we just have so much plant life for people who are interested in learning about native plants and, maybe plants that are a bit more invasive. It's super cool that just right on campus we have all of that, all of those.
It's not the best for allergies, but but definitely like cool to check out. So I know on campus we are in the process of finishing up one of the new research institutes, right? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so right on campus right now, we have lots of construction on our new Frost Research Center. So it's going to be this big building. They've made so much progress on it since the summer has started, and it's beautiful. And that is going to house more research space and some faculty offices for the College of Architecture, as well as the College of Liberal Arts, and also the College of Science and Math. And so we're getting lots more awesome research spaces and labs, which will be really cool, just because Baker Science, which is more of our physical sciences building, but the laboratories in Baker Science are like really, really amazing. And so hopefully with this new building, we'll have even more of those awesome labs and research spaces.
That's so great. Okay, so at this moment, I'm going to pause and just see. We have one question. Okay, so it's a little bit not what we've talked about, but it's an awesome question. Do you need to take AP classes to get into Cal Poly? You do not need to take AP classes to get into Cal Poly. There's definitely things you could do to maybe become a more competitive contender, but it is definitely not mandatory to be taking AP classes throughout high school. And I don't know, Lily, if you have any more input on that.
Nope. It's like you said, it's not mandatory. The one thing that it can benefit you in is it can get you out of some of your general education requirements or some of your like introductory courses. So for example, biology majors, we don't have to take too much math. We have to take I think 2 quarters of calculus, but based on the score that you got on AP calculus exams that you maybe took in high school, you can potentially get out of some of those courses and you wouldn't have to take them once you get here. And there's lots of resources online to see exactly what score you need to get and what it'll get you out of, but definitely not something you need to do at all.
Awesome. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, please drop them in the chat. I know I kind of pinned a comment right there. Just if anyone has any questions, use the Q&A function so that we can kind of narrow it down and we're not seeing a ton of people joining and then your question gets lost. So please, another one. I love this. Oh, it's the same one. Oops. Okay, I'm going to delete that one. Awesome. Okay. So do you have, well, first, before I ask this question, Cal Poly, our little motto is learn by doing. We have another question. Well, I'll first ask this and then, or let's answer the question first so this person doesn't have to leave. So it says, as bio major, do you still have the freedom to explore other fields and take non-major specific classes? That is a wonderful question. I love that question.
That is a great question. And absolutely. So every major at Cal Poly, you have a certain amount of free elective credits. So a certain amount of classes that you have to take in order to graduate, but they don't meet any sort of requirement. And you can take them from any of the colleges. Our 6 different academic colleges you can take. So you can take, an ag-based class or maybe like a computer science class. It's totally up to you. And then within our biology curriculum, we do have a lot of support classes which are from other science fields. So for example, as a biology major, you have to take some calculus, you have to take some statistics, as well as physics, chemistry, organic chemistry, and then certain biology programs like anatomy and physiology, for example, we have to take biochemistry. So we do get to explore the realm of the sciences because they help support our biology education. But with elective courses and then general education requirements, you're going to be taking a lot of classes that are even outside of science and math.
Yeah, and I would say definitely Take advantage of that. If you're, wanting to take a class that is outside of your, realm, if you want to apply to be a biology major, but you want to take a class in the College of Liberal Arts, you can do that. All of the majors are offered a certain amount of free elective units, and then also everyone has to take GEs. So you really, really get to specify, maybe for GE Area C, which is going to be like an art, you could do, a music or something, or you could do a literature class, or just anything like that. You can really specify what you want to do. And I mean, Lily can really testify as a bio major, but yeah, you really get to have that freedom at Cal Poly. They really want you to try to see, can I take this class and this class and this class? So you get that broad education, which is really awesome.
Totally.
Do you have any examples of classes that you've taken outside of biology? I know this is a biology interview, or not interview, talk, but.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, right now I'm actually in a film studies course that fulfills my graduation writing requirements. I'm taking a summer course, and yeah, it's through the English department, but it's a film studies class, and it's so interesting. It's about disability in film, so different portrayals of disability in Hollywood in American film. And so that's been one of my favorite classes I've taken. I did take music. I took intro to music for my arts requirement, and that was super fun because I did band in high school, so it was super fun to actually take like a music class in college, learning more of the theory of it rather than just playing an instrument. So those have been some of the cooler classes. Yeah.
I love that. We have another question too. It's just kind of in the comments. So someone asked, could you double major with bio, like music? Yes. I mean, if you want to talk a little bit more about that too, you can.
Absolutely. So you can absolutely double major. Lots of people double major. I have a good friend who's a biology major who is double majoring in math and bio. I know someone in my research group who's double majoring in biochemistry and bio. So you totally can. It's definitely going to be some more coursework, especially with something like music, which not a lot of our introductory courses align with the music majors, but it's totally possible. If you are interested in double majoring, you don't have to declare that on your application. You come in as the major you were accepted under, and then you can declare a double major later on during your time at Cal Poly. And as long as you complete those requirements, and go through, the channels that you need to go. Maybe you have to sign some papers, things like that. You can double major here, and as bio major, totally.
I will say too, one thing that I like to suggest is look into the minors, because double major, totally awesome. A lot of people do it, but it is going to be more work. And so if you want to still explore other things, definitely check out a music minor or, a biology minor. I don't know if there's any biology minors. Are there? Yeah. So check out minors too. But if you want a double major, you totally can. A major to complete your major degree is going to be 180 units. That's plus your GEs and things like that. But a minor is just going to be 28 units. So it's a big difference. Okay, yeah, if anyone has any more questions, please ask. We love answering questions. But I guess my final little question for you is just, do you have any fun little learn by doing stories?
I think one of the coolest classes, biology classes, was actually my ecology and evolution class this past quarter, because it's hard to model evolution in the lab. Evolution takes millions of years, and so you can't really model that during a lab period. But so what we would do is we'd go out into the mountains behind campus into Poly Canyon, and we would essentially learn how to take data. So if you're interested in doing research or being a biologist, an ecologist, we would learn, the scientific process of using the scientific method to make sure you have good data that you can use in research. And then we would also, we learned how to read scientific journals and scientific papers. And I personally thought that was like the coolest learn by doing, because that's really important for biologists, is being able to be a scientist and write a scientific journal, write a lab report, something like that. And that was what that lab was. It was learning how to be a scientist. And I just thought that that was really cool because you're not just expected to know how to write a formal scientific article based on research that you've conducted. We were taught every step of the way, making like all the way down to how to write a proper citation. And I personally thought that was just a really cool class, and I feel like I gained a lot out of it. And so I think that that was important learned by doing that I'm glad was a part of my curriculum.
I love that. Do you think that like your like labs and your, you know, out of the classroom or even just like learn by doing experiences have just been the best part of it? Or has it been like the people or the professors, or what do you think has been like your favorite part about the biology program?
That's a great question because I do love my biology labs, especially like anatomy and physiology labs. Like I loved doing the dissections last year. I thought that that was just so fun, but that's definitely not for everyone. But I thought that that was really fun. But I do want to say though, the professors. I have yet to meet a biology professor that I haven't felt, you know, supportive and heard by. They're just really wonderful people, and they're really excited about their field and about their research. And so I just love chatting with them about what parts of biology they like and stuff like that. And I think it's really cool that here at Cal Poly we are taught by our professors, because while, you know, TAs and master's students are great, getting taught by your professor and having them know your name and you know them is really special, because I think it just it makes like things like office hours and, you know, going and asking for extra help a lot less intimidating because this professor isn't like an enigma that sometimes grades your papers, you know.
Right.
But I really like that. I know my professors and I've talked with them about their research, because if I do have questions, I'm so much more comfortable to just go and ask and make sure that I'm, you know, staying on top of things. And they're just so supportive. They're so nice. I love the professors.
Love that. We do have a 19 to 1 student to faculty ratio. So that is one thing that's pretty great about Cal Poly is that your professors are going to know your name, you know, whether you're bio or you're in a different, you know, different college, one of the 6 colleges, you know, you're going to get to know your professors, which is just totally awesome. I see we have another question. Do you accept transfer credit from dual enrollment? I don't know the answer to this one. Lily, do you know at all?
So, and I'm assuming is if you were enrolled in community college classes in high school. So my high school, we had a dual enrollment program where you could graduate from high school with your AA as well as your like high school degree. So if that's what you're talking about, we do. A lot of people who take community college courses can have them transfer over into things like general education requirements, sort of like how AP credits work. So hopefully that answers your question.
That was a great answer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If anyone has any more questions, please throw them in now, and we can do a little Q&A session at the end. And then if a minute passes, we don't get any questions, then I guess we'll wrap it up. This has been so lovely. What have you been up to today? It's been such a nice day.
Has been such a nice day, and I'm so lucky I've been able to spend it outside. I went on a couple campus tours today because in addition to being a biology major, I'm also a campus tour this summer. So if any of y'all come to take a tour, you might see me. So I gave a couple tours around campus and went to the grocery store. So very exciting.
I love that. I see someone commented they put a question in the Q&A, but I don't see it. I'm so bummed. If you want to try to type it again, I will try to answer it for you, but I don't see it right now. That's lovely. I went to Morro Bay today with my family, which is like, for those listening, a little town, you know, next to San Luis Obispo. Definitely foggier for sure, but I was walking around in the water, and then I had like one of those little things that like swims around in the water, and it bit me. It bit my foot.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways, okay, here we go. Here's a question. Okay, awesome. What does Cal Poly mainly look for in students' applications?
Great question. So Cal Poly's, your application is only going to ask three things. It's going to ask for what courses you took in high school, your GPA from high school, and then it's going to ask any work or extracurricular experience that you have. So you can put any sort of work or extracurricular. They're going to ask how many hours you did from those, if they're related to the major you're trying to go into. One thing though is at Cal Poly and any of the California State Universities, you can no longer input test scores. So if you took the SAT or the ACT, that won't be considered. There's not even a place on the application to put that in. So that's a great question.
Awesome. Oh, and you know what's so funny is we actually just got a question. RSH scores important. They are actually, again, after COVID, we don't accept SAT or ACT scores anymore. It's just going to be, yeah, those grades, and then just talk about, you know, your clubs and everything you're involved in, what you're passionate about, like that. Awesome. What'd you say?
I said absolutely.
And then we have another question. Do you accept the Common App? So all of the CSUs are going to have their separate application. So you're going to apply to Cal Poly under the CSU application website. So it's just going to be like you click a box there. So we're not through the Common App. Okay. If anyone has any more questions, these are awesome. And luckily we know the answers to them. Okay, what do you think helped you stand out in your application? That one was a little bit in the chat.
If I remember correctly, when I applied, I don't know if there was a spot to put in my extracurriculars. That I just could not remember. It was a while ago, but back when I applied to school, SAT and ACT scores were still being considered, so I couldn't name one thing that helped me to stand out. I just input a lot of information, just like grades, courses, and SATs and ACTs. And that was sort of that. And then one day Cal Poly emailed me, so I don't know.
My advice and what a lot of the admissions officers say is that put everything, and Cal Poly will take what they can take, and then, you know, it'll go from there. So it's really just, you know, putting in, if you even have letters of recommendation, those are not necessarily going to be, you know, helpful. But if you want to put them in there, put them in there. You know, so it's not one thing that's going to be, you know, the thing that gets you in. It's just, it's all of the stuff if you want to put it in. Oh, we have so many questions. Wow. Okay. What kind of internship opportunities are there? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's a great question. So a lot of the majors at Cal Poly actually require that you do an internship. That's not the case with the biological sciences major. You don't have to take an internship, but that said, a lot of people do. So a lot of people get internships in labs. You know, over the summer, they'll go to some other university and work in a lab, or work in like a laboratory building. Like we have a biology, like DNA lab here in San Luis Obispo that you can get a summer internship at. And so you can do that. You can get internships with local like environmental consulting firms. So like my friend Kyle, he's a biology major, and he is doing an internship with a botany consulting firm here in San Luis Obispo. Biology knowledge. And like I said, a lot of majors require that you take an internship, and definitely have lots of internships in the area. So
awesome. That was a great answer. Okay, we have a couple more questions. What is the best tip you can give when it comes to managing with the workload in the biology field, and how do you suggest studying? That is an awesome question.
That is a fantastic question. So my biggest advice about studying, because I went into college like, whoa, I do not know how to study. What am I going to do? Is yes, biology, there's a lot of work, especially in some of the support classes, especially for example, work than your actual biology class. But the biggest advice I have for studying is everyone's going to study different, and every time of the day you are productive at, study at that day and do what works for that class. So I study very differently for my chemistry courses than I do my biology courses. And it definitely took some trial and error, but, see what works. And then, you'll learn from your grade that works. And then if it, maybe it didn't work as well as you wanted to, change it. And so I don't have a specific way to study. But definitely just making sure that you know when you're productive and when you should be studying, and that studying hard and studying long is not always studying effectively. So sometimes it's better to just study for a couple hours that's really effective for you and how your brain works, rather than you studying 14 hours a day, if that makes sense. And then in terms of the course load, yes, there's lots of classes and work, but that's true for any major. I still can, I have like a social life. I'm not just like a little, crammed in my at my desk studying all day. I still go out and I do fun things with my friends, and I have different, jobs and things like that. I work at a local hospital. I'm a part of lots of clubs, so definitely not take over your life at all.
It's an awesome answer. Okay, we have one more question. If you don't mind sharing. Of course we don't. We are open books. What types of topics did you write about in your college essays? Okay, so first off, Cal Poly does not take any college essays. But if this is just in general, I still feel like I can totally answer this. I talked about different life experiences that I had, specifically with the UC applications. I just picked the questions that I felt spoke most to my life experiences, and then kind of let myself write the outlines first and then figure that all out from there. I know that's kind of broad, but it's been 4 years since I applied. So it's been a sec, but I think just, don't force anything. Don't try to write something that isn't you. You don't want a school to accept someone that isn't you. Just write about your experiences. Write about something that you are passionate about. It doesn't matter what other people are writing, as long as you're writing about something that's true to yourself. You're going to find the right school.
Absolutely. I second all of that. Definitely don't force anything, because they'll, not, saying they'll be able to tell, but you can really tell when someone's actually writing from their heart and like passionate things like leadership experience, different, organizations that you found yourself in. Just tell specific stories. Don't go too general. Hear, those specific stories that really tell who you are as a person. And yeah, like Erin said, you don't want a college to accept someone who is you. You want them to accept you for who you are. So just write about this.
Awesome. Okay, I feel like that's a great note to end on. Great. I don't see any more questions as of now. Great. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. This was wonderful. And thank you, Lily, for talking with me.
Of course.
And I will see you. Oh, I just had someone ask a question. Can you talk about slow days a little bit? Do you want to talk about slow days for just a sec?
Sure. So slow days is sort of like our pre-orientation. So if you get accepted to Cal Poly and you commit to Cal Poly, you have the opportunity to come to campus over the summer. So it's actually right now, so there's a lot of people on campus. You get to come to campus for a few days over the summer, live in the dorms for a little bit, meet people, and yes, you'll sleep on campus in the dorms, and they give you food, so no need to worry about that. And it just helps about slow. You get to meet some people that you'll be having classes with in the fall. So slow days is super fun. It's we also have an orientation that every first year it's the week before school, it's the week of welcome or WOW. And that's another just like big campus orientation, living on campus, things like that.
You will be assigned while you're sleeping. You will be told that.
Check your email. As
Yeah.
your gets closer, they'll be having a lot of emails going to you to make sure you know where to register.
Someone just asked, is slow days the same as orientation days? So slow days is like some kind of orientation, but it's not our week of welcome. So slow days is going to be during the summer. It's going to be 2 different weekends. You sign up for one weekend, you get to meet some awesome people. It's really just awesome. And then that's going to be just like learning about campus, living in the dorms for a night. And then week of welcome, you're in your dorm. You're there. You're getting excited for classes. It's a week before classes. And then you get put into a group with some people in your dorm, and you just get to do a ton of fun things. That's week of welcome though. So slow days is like orientation, but week of welcome is just like also kind of orientation, but more just like here are all the fun things you can do in slow with some cool people. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, of course. Thanks everyone for attending and asking your wonderful questions.
Yeah. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their Monday.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, my name's Rafael. I'm a 4th year journalism transfer student with a minor in Spanish, and my pronouns are he, him, his. Thank you for watching the video. Please share any questions or comments you have down below in the comment section. Click here to subscribe, and to watch more videos, click here. If you want to sign up for a campus visit, we're offering in-person and virtual options, so check out our website. Link in the description. Thank you for watching.